Hey Funkoholics, how you doing? My name's Terry Wellbanks. I'm coming at you from my dungeon of Funkos as always. This is part two. I did part one. That was a best of video. That was my top 10. I did 11 of my best of the year. And in that video, I showed the pops that I thought for 2017, which were great. This video is going to be a little bit more ranty, negative, probably get more views. But this is going to be my worst of, or my worst thoughts about Funko as well. There are 10 awful pops out there that have been released this year, as I'm sure everybody knows and everybody's aware. Some of them are a little bit different, some of them are off. Everybody has their own taste, though, so I can't really say that any are the worst, but I think we can all unanimously agree on one Funko Pop being the absolute worst of the year. And that award, I'm not going to go through 10. I'm just going to go through one, and then I'll get into my talk, I guess. But this pop is awful. There's nothing good about it. The pop itself was stupid. Funko created a debacle with them. They basically brought a chase out, and then they said it wasn't the chase, but they had a chase sticker, so everybody's going around getting these chases that aren't chases, and they're going after the regulars because they are the chases, and it's a whole thing. So this pop sucks, and it's the worst pop of the year. I don't like the design of it. The body's okay. It looks a little bit like a deformed ET would be the way that I would describe it, I guess. But this one is absolutely brutal. This is, I like to call him Dugan Daghuiz, and by now you probably knew what I was talking about if you collected Funkos this year. This pop is horrendous, and it's brutal. You'll notice he's not in the box. That's because I took him out of the box so you guys can see what he looks like. He's got this thing on the front of his face. I don't get it. The movie itself was actually a pretty good movie. If you saw Valerian, it wasn't bad. It's just Funko really blew it with this set. The only one that I really liked was the Egon Cirrus. You can see him there. I have him. He was one of the ones that I did get. I got him because one, I thought that it was hilarious that it had the different bag, and there was a whole thing going on. They were everywhere. You were able to get one. You probably have 2 or 3 in your collection, especially if you're one of those chase people, because, you know, it was a chase, but it's not. And this pop will go down, in my opinion, as the worst pop ever. Definitely the last couple of years, without a doubt. This pop sucks, and it's no good. And if you have a chance to throw it in the garbage, toss it out. I don't know, man. I might just give this away to somebody that appreciates it and likes it, because in my opinion this sucks. So anyway, that's Dugan Daghuiz, the worst pop of 2017 in my humble opinion. I'd like to know what your worst pop is. There's a couple others that were pretty bad. In my opinion, this one was really bad. This is the Tekken King. They did a Best Buy version with him in a cape. He sucked. This whole line I didn't like at all. I thought it was brutal, and Pop in a Box actually sent it to me, and I thumbs it down. But anyways, they sent this Zoblina. I don't know. It looks like a weird sketched out. I don't even know. It's good. It's not my style. The set's not my style. They did actually a Comic Con fall New York Comic Con release of Ickis. Not a fan. It's not my thing. Mind you, again, I don't know anything about the show. It's just this pop is not appealing to me. It's not something that I want. So I found I found 2017 to be a funny year. About halfway through, I decided I almost stopped collecting altogether, mostly because of the environment that was surrounding the Funko community, and even my own friends and myself, we were all getting at odds. You know, it shouldn't be as serious as it is, this collecting of these figures, but it is a pretty serious hobby, and you end up in arguments, you end up fighting, you end up calling other people names, you end up degrading other people, and that's just not what it's about. You know, a big thing that happened this year was Hot Topic. I don't know if it's in the States. It probably is. They've changed their policies where basically you can't call Hot Topic and say, hi, do you have such and such a pop in? And they can tell you over the phone. They're not allowed to anymore. They also have a policy where they do not release pops the day that they get the pops. They actually release them the day after. And that would be all fine and dandy if majority of the population didn't have jobs and weren't able to be at the mall at open the following day to get the pops, unless they were to do it on Saturdays. And some people even work Saturdays, which sucks. But it really benefits those that can be at the mall early. Is basically their policy, and the people that can get to the mall early are generally the people that sell these pops online or in Facebook groups for double or triple the price immediately when they come out. Um, there's different types of flipping, but when you buy a pop that day and then you try to sell it for double or triple the price of retail, that's my definition of flipping a pop. I definitely wouldn't consider that cool, as opposed to if you don't like the pop and you see the chase, you can buy it. I mean, by all means, you should buy it. It's awesome to be able to find something like that in the wild or in a retail store, as they say. But when you find the pops in the retail store and you don't want the pop, instead of trying to sell it for double retail, you could always post it in a group and say, I got this pop, I'm not really a fan, I'd like to trade it for blah blah blah, blah. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to trade it for, it doesn't matter. But that's one way to go about it without actually flipping, in my opinion. I mean, if you can end up getting something that you like and the person also gets you something that they like, everybody wins in a trade. Whereas with selling pops, it gets really finicky because you can go by Pop Price Guide, and Pop Price Guide, in my opinion, if you know anything about me, I think Pop Price Guide is a joke. Their values go up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. It's not a stock market. We're not collecting. These aren't stock markets, and this is why people get into the mentality of having it become a investment and not a collection. I fell into that trap too. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I think that's part of the reason why I didn't want to collect anymore, was because I started getting to the point to where I looked at it as a dollar value, and I looked at it as, okay, well, I know this pop's going to be worth a little bit more, so I'm going to get it, or I'll trade for this pop because I want it down the road because I know it's going to be worth a lot of money, or nobody else can get this, so I better get my hands on it. And that's really not what it's about. And thank goodness for guys and gals that have kind of pulled me back into reality a little bit, where now I collect things that I love, and I only get pops from sets that I want. Like, for instance, Mortal Kombat, I was able to get the Scorpion, the Sub-Zero, and the Goro. That's all that I wanted. I don't want Liu Kang. I didn't want Katana. I don't have no use for them. I'd love to get a Baraka if they ever come out with him, but yeah, I found collecting what I loved was what was important, and that's really what I can recommend to folks: is do not fall in the chase trap. Do not fall into the trap of buying for value. Get out there and get the ones that you love. Get pops that make you happy. If you're going to have these things, you might as well have them and display them properly. This was a big year for Funko, and Funko released a lot of products. They released vinyls. They kept going with Dorbs. They released the plushies. They've got the T-shirts. They've got curtains. They've got so many different things now that they're releasing, and it's a lot of different lines and a lot of different things to pick up. Now, some of them are a hit. I personally love vinyls. I think the 8-bit pops are really cool as long as they're done properly. But Funko decided that they were going to do 8-bit pops. Now, I know it's based in the 80s, and I get that. But why they would ever consider doing a Stranger Things 8-bit pop collection, I do not get. Other than the fact that it's from the 80s, or at least it's filmed in the 80s, that's the only reason why I can get it, because that's when 8-bit was a big thing. But I don't understand some of the decisions that Funko's made, especially with every set having a chase. I think that that's ridiculous, because as a set completionist, or at least that I was a set completionist, it's almost impossible to complete the set, especially if you want to get your hands on a chase and you're fighting other people at Hot Topic, for instance, that are there before you because they can go in the morning and you work a job, and you can't ask them, you can't even ask them to put a comment on hold. You can't ask them if they have it, and that's really shitty, and that sucks. But yeah, they definitely got lazy with chases, and I have some examples that I'll show you guys with chases and how I think that they're lazy. There's some great chases that came out this year that make perfect sense. Jack Torrance from The Shining, superb chase, an amazing choice as a chase. And then there's a couple other ones that I really like. The Riddler was a great example where he was completely different, and it made sense. The chase made sense to what it was. But a lot of them are just different paint colors, and I'm going to show you, I don't know, 7 or 8 examples of pops that are just a different paint color, where I guess if you don't care about chases, it's cool because if you get the regular, it's just going to be a different color. But if you want to complete the set per se, and you want to get the chase, you're going to get the chase. And you're going to be like, well, why did I fight so hard for this for 6 months or 3 months or 2 months when it's the exact same pop, just a different color? And that's a little bit frustrating on Funko's behalf. I think that they're trying to take advantage of us as collectors. I think they're taking advantage of their consumer base in terms of the amount that they release of the same pop. I collect Batman, and it's the worst. It's just fucking awful. Pardon my language, but there's same pop. Like they release 5 of the same mold with 10,000 different colors or variants of this one pop. Like, just pick a pop and go with it. If you want to release variants, cool. But don't release variants and then make colors. Don't release a chrome Batman on a Comic-Con where you know that nobody's going to be able to get the thing except for a few people. And then the Funko is so rare and so valuable because of Pop Price Guide that nobody will ever get a chance to get their hands on it. That blue chrome Batman was the most ridiculous thing in the world. Nobody's ever... I need it because I don't have it. But nobody's ever going to fucking give it to me. I'm never going to be able to trade. I'd have to trade, 25 pops to make up the value, even though they cost the same amount at the store. And I get that pops need to be worth a little bit more money, but I think Funko really capitalizes on this stuff, and they know that they can take advantage of consumers, and they know that consumers are going to do this. Either that or they just don't give a shit. They're just going to keep churning out their product, and we're going to keep buying it mindlessly. A good example of that is South Park. I collect the South Park series. I have all of them, thank God. Love them all to death. They're all amazing pops. They're Kenny and Stan. I bought them both independently, so they've had their own boxes. And then I find out that Best Buy is releasing a Kenny and Stan. And I'm like, oh, cool, maybe it'll be different. They're the exact same pops. Like, literally the exact same pops. There's nothing different about them. They're just in a 2-pack box. It's the same thing with Surf's Up Batman and Joker. Buy them separately, great. But they come out with a 2-pack that has the exact same fucking pops in it. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. They're being lazy. They're trying to make money. And people that complete sets have to get these stupid things because it's part of the set. So either I turn my brain off and act like it doesn't exist, like I did with the Best Buy Kyle and Stan and the Batman. I didn't buy that 2-pack either because I had the pops. They're not different. So I'm not going to have 2 Kyles and 2 Stans that are exactly the same. If you release a Stan and then you release a Goth Stan, or if you release a Kenny and then a Zombie Kenny, then it makes sense to me to actually have those. But if you're going to release the same pop in a box just to try to take money from us, people buy these things because they want to complete sets and they're more completionists than I am, and that sucks. That's a really shitty thing to do. Like I said with the chases, this year I think there was more chases released this year probably than the entire Funko past of every year combined put together. This year there was probably more released, and I'll show you what I mean. How lazy they can be. I'm going to show you 2 from an actual. I actually like Top Cat a lot, and I do have the regulars and I have the chases, but these chases that you'll see here, this is actually Top Cat and Benny the Ball. These are a different color. That's it. They're literally painted different. They're not holding anything different. They're not doing anything different. Exact same pop. These 2 here are recent chases that just got released, and I'm happy that I have them because both of them are 2 of my favorite wrestlers, and one of them makes a little bit of sense, but for the most part, different paint job. This is The Rock and Razor Ramon. Now, the reason why I like the Razor Ramon is because this is his NWO outfit, which is awesome. Really, really cool. I'm glad they did an NWO. The Rock, I love The Rock. He's probably my favorite wrestler ever. But Macho Man's pretty close. But this is the exact same. And to be honest, I think Funko fucked this up because this is black shirt on the chase. The regular is a red shirt. Yeah, it's a red shirt or orangey red, and it's got a black front. So I think that they messed this up and they made the black as the chase when the black should have been the common. But it's just another thing. Funko's slapping stickers on shit, like with Dugan Dagquies. But these 2, again, different paint job. Now, to stick to their awesome WWE line, earlier in the year, we were blessed with 2 great wrestlers from the 80s, early 90s. This is Iron Sheik and Million Dollar Man. These are the Chase variants. Pretty cool, right? No. It would be cool if like that, like Million Dollar Man maybe had his belt or something was different, right? Or maybe Iron Sheik wasn't wearing a hat in this one. Whatever the case is. Nope. Exact same pop, different colored body. That's it. They painted it black for him as the regular versus white. This guy here is, I think he's got black trunks. The other one he's got white, if I'm not mistaken, trunks. Exact same pop, nothing different. On to the laziness. They released 5 variants of this guy. This is Buddy the Elf. I do like this Chase because I like that he's holding a toy, and I really, really, really like the movie. In the original one, he's holding maple syrup. This one, he's holding a toy. That's the difference between the pop. At least there's something different about the pop, though, right? It's not a different paint color. So this one is passable, and I really like it. I was happy to have all of them. Next up in the lazy category, although these 2 pops are amazing, and it's one of my favorite Looney Tunes characters, this is Tasmanian Devil. Now, can you guess which one's the Chase? If you don't know, can you guess? This one, this one, this one? This is the Chase. Now, in the Chase, you're going to see he has an open mouth. The regular, he doesn't. Everything else, exactly the same. Now, the Chase is a billion times better than the regular one. That being said, it's the exact same pop, different mouth. So, at least there's something different. So this one I kind of get, but I had to get both. And this makes sense to get both because they are different. Sorry about that phone in the background. Next up is the 8-bit ones. Now, in my favorite set, I actually did say that the 8-bit Joker is one of my favorites because he really is. This is the 8-bit Joker with Joker Chase. Now, I'm going to give you a minute to take a look. Now, I know my camera sucks, and I don't know how to edit to get you, like, still shots and stuff like that. By the way, I apologize for that. A lot of YouTubers out there, they're really good, and I'm not. So I don't know how to edit, so you get one shot of me, and if I mess up, I mess up. But here you go. Do you see any difference while I was blabbering there? No? That's because there isn't any. It's the exact same pop. The only difference is that the Chase has a little bit of a greener tint, like a lighter greener tint, and his suit's a little more metallic. That's the only difference. Doesn't glow, nothing different like that. That's that. Exact same pop, different paint color. Now, they did nail a couple of them. So I don't want to say that they didn't. I don't want to shit all over the Chases when they did do a good job. These 2 make sense. This is the Riddler from 66 Batman. Riddler, Chase Riddler. Now, the reason why this makes sense is because you'll see here, he's wearing, this is the classic, 100% classic Riddler. He's got his outfit on. I'm surprised he doesn't have he does have his hands up like he's smoking, but there's no cigarette in his hand. I guess Funko wanted to not do that. Makes sense. But then there's the Chase. And the Chase, to me, reminds me of Batman Forever Joker. Mind you, I know that in 66 he wore the suit too. But this makes perfect sense. He's got his hat. I'm sorry about the glare. He's got his hat. He's wearing a suit. It looks good. No mask. It makes sense. This makes perfect sense. The Jack Torrance makes sense. So why can't they put effort like that in all the Chases, I guess, is my question. A lot of people got fooled into this whole Pennywise thing this year, and that sucks because Pennywise is he's a great character, and I love all the pops. It's not that I don't love them, but a sepia tone, and it's worth $100 and some odd, so now everybody's fighting and crawling each other just to try to get it. That's bullshit, and it shouldn't happen. And Funko, on a whole, I half wish that I didn't love collecting these things so much because they really don't care about us as the collectors and the consumers, as the people that are buying their products, especially if you don't live in America. And I love America. I love all the people from the States. I love you all. Thank you for being part of my life. I've met so many great folks. But if you're not from America, you're screwed. Here we don't have that. We have barely anything. We've got a Walmart, Toys R Us, Hot Topic, and EB Games, which is your GameStop. In America, they have Target, Hot Topic, FYE, Toys R Us, Walmart, Box Lunch, everything. They got everything. And you can shop on Funko.com. So the 12 Days of Christmas thing, I hope you guys all love that because we loved it too in Canada, don't get me wrong. But we didn't have the opportunity to buy anything because they won't ship to Canada. Now we can get somebody in the States, and I'm lucky enough, and pretty much all the Canadian members in Funkoholics worldwide are lucky enough to have somebody like that that will get them for us and then ship them down to us. But it just sucks that we don't have the opportunity to do that. We can't shop on, ToysRUs.com. We have to shop on ToysRUs.ca. And if you're in another country, not only do you wait longer for the pops, like for instance, I see people with Aladdin pops already. That's like my number one set. I want to get that set so bad, and it still isn't down here. And we're behind. It's almost like it's almost like music for some reason. It's like they get it in the States, and then a couple years later, you get it. It's like me having Eminem here, the new album, and then me going up north, and they don't even know that it's coming out. You know what I mean? It's like that, and it's just a shitty feeling knowing that we're so far behind and that we're basically second class. When we do spend as much money and when we do invest as much time into collecting this. I've been to Funko trade conventions, with members of groups, and I've met some amazing people in this community. And for every amazing person, there's a couple of dickheads, and there's a couple of people that want to take advantage of others and want to flip pops. The only way that you should be flipping a pop is if you flip it. You shouldn't be flipping pops to people. You should be trying to help others, or at the very least, trying to trade for pops that you want and give them the pops that they want. There's a lot of good in collecting Funko. That's for sure. I've met some of my best friends in the world, collecting these things, and it's really awesome when you get to pick up a pop for somebody else and you know that they're gonna love it. Like Steve, I can't wait for you to get this Winter Soldier. Seth, I sent you a bunch of stuff. Making sure that Dan, making sure that people get what they're after is actually a lot cooler than collecting for yourself. This year saw a lot of ups, a lot of downs. 2018, I think, is going to be an interesting year for Funko and collectors of Funko. I think the bubble is really, really close to being burst or full, and then I think it's going to die off, which thankfully will be I hope that it does die down a little bit, and the reason being is because we don't need Funko producing variants of every single fucking character over and over and over. They don't need to do that. They don't need to make 10,000 Groots. I love Groot. Don't get me wrong. And I love Little Baby G. I love Big G. I love Teenage G. I love all the Groots. But you don't need to make that many. Like, I don't need him in Skittles. I don't need him holding a bomb. I don't need Drax holding him. I don't need him 10 inches big. I don't need him 2 inches big. I don't need him 3.5 inches big. You don't need to make that many. If you want to make a big one, which, by the way, those are amazing. The 10-inch pops were, in my opinion, the hit of the year.